Good day once again. Welcome to EThekwini Matters Podcast. My name is Msawake Maisela, your host for this podcast. We are the only metro in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. By virtue of being the only metro, we've got a huge responsibility of collecting refuse because it means that we account for a substantial number of people that are living in this province. So obviously we generate heaps and heaps of refuse. So as the sphere of government, we've got the responsibility of ensuring that refuse is collected unceasingly. That's why today we've invited the head of Durban Solid Waste, Raymond Rampersad, affectionately known as Kutus. Kutus, are you well?
Absolutely. Thank
Good
you.
to have you, man.
Yes, I'm glad.
You're looking good and very young.
Thank you. Age 63.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have got a colossal task that is resting on your shoulders of ensuring that our city is clean. And I know that it must be a challenging responsibility to ensure that our city is clean and all our neighborhoods. How do you execute it?
Yeah, I must be honest. It is a difficult task. It's very, very challenging as well. We're servicing almost 1.2 million households.
That's a lot.
We're collecting about 1.4 million tons of waste a year. Obviously, being a tourist destination,
Right.
it's absolutely important that we keep the city clean, to attract tourism, to have a wonderful sort of environment for future generations as well,
Oh, yes, yeah.
and to instill civic pride for our communities as
Yeah.
well. It is challenging. Obviously, there are some good people, I must be honest with you, that take environmental awareness and challenges quite seriously, whilst there are others that really, absolutely don't care about the environment.
Exactly, yeah.
And so there's a huge indiscriminate dumping,
Yeah,
littering,
yeah.
graffiti on the walls, vandalizing of our bins.
But Mkutuzi, one of the issues that compounds our woes is the issue of informal settlement. I think we account for informal settlement that are in excess of 500 in EThekwini.
Yes.
Are you also rendering services in these informal settlements?
It's a surprisingly high number. It's almost 1 million people
Right.
that reside in these 528 settlements in EThekwini. Unfortunately, with poverty being the way it
Oh,
is,
yes, yeah, true.
there's an influx of people coming into the city. One of our sins as a city, as a metro, is that we make services accessible to all. Rich or
Irrespective
poor.
of where they live.
And so people are coming in with,
Of course,
to get the services. Yes, it's a challenge, and we do provide each and every informal settlement
Correct.
the same services that a ratepayer gets.
Yeah. The other thing is that the heartbeat of EThekwini Metro is the Central Business District. And I know very well that you have got a comprehensive program that seeks to ensure that the inner city is clean. Would you like to shed some light, as to how far with regard to that program?
Yeah, I want to believe that the inner city, especially the Durban CBD, is the soul of the city.
Yeah.
Anyone that travels and comes through the city, and if the city is found to be in an untidy state, normally generalize, and a phrase like this will be, "Oh, Durban is filthy."
Yeah.
So it's imperative that we put in, resources, both fleet and human capital, in our cities and to clean them up. So we have a 24-hour shift.
Right.
So there's 3 shifts every day, 7 days a week. At huge costs, may I add, to the city. Servicing both commerce, industry, the hotels, the beachfront, all these places where people love to go, the park areas, and it's increasingly becoming difficult because of the influx of illegal traders. People want to eke out a living with the huge unemployment rate in the country, and particularly in our city. You'll see these people come in selling the mealies and the bananas and the fruit, and obviously that exacerbates the untidiness of waste.
Solid waste. Yeah.
But by and large, we're managing. But I certainly hope, and I want to believe that people have it in their hearts to contribute a little instead of throwing the litter on the floor, rather keep the litter with them in their bags or whatever they're carrying and take it back home.
I think we're touching one of the most important thing, the issue of informal traders, or let me say street traders. Well, it's a fact that we are in the grip of unemployment. Obviously, they have to leave. And I know that we have got programs that seeks to educate our informal traders to ensure that the areas or the spaces where they are trading from are clean. Because at the end of the day, the city can do so much.
Yes.
The public has a responsibility also
Absolutely.
to partner with the city to ensure that the city
I just want to
is
just
clean.
touch on that. I think whether you're legal or illegal, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're a human being. I treat you like one. And so what we've done from our side is to give each and every person that's involved in some sort of trading those black plastic bags.
Of course, yeah.
You know, the famous black plastic bags which everybody wants. And after the day's work, they clean up, put the waste in there, tap the bag, and we'll pick it up for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's a collaboration with our informal sort of business owners,
Yeah.
and it's working reasonably well. But obviously there are errant ones that just don't care.
Yeah.
But by and large, I think it will work.
In the townships, what is your message? We can't be sitting and waiting for the municipality to clean our areas, but we also have got a responsibility to ensure that the areas within which we are residing are clean.
I think maybe just to answer your question, probably I think people understand the financial terms and being in the grip of a poor economic climate at the moment. The city is finding it extremely difficult to provide those much needed services. It comes at a huge cost. And I'm not too sure if people understand the cost for my unit, the cleansing solid waste unit, to provide a service just on illegal dumping alone. It costs us 100 million rands a year just to clear indiscriminate dumping.
That's a lot of money.
Very much so. If people only understand that, 100 million rand thrown down the drain, that's by and large because of our carelessness. Because we just don't think about other people and how we run the city. And so I'm urging people to, you know what, let's save that money. We can put it for better use, like in housing, creation of parks, building schools, you know, doing potholes, for instance. We're simply wasting money. Because you are not following the bylaws. You don't care what we do. And so I think there's an archaic view that because we are a local government, I'll throw everything.
We'll take care of it.
We'll take care of it. But at a huge cost. So by and large, what is happening, future generations are actually paying for our misdeeds. So if we don't correct that behavior, so there's no paradigm shift in the way we look at this environment, and this is my city.
But I know that you have caught some red-handed dumping illegally. What is it that you have done to them? What sort of punishment have you meted out to them?
Maybe just for you know, trivia information, we're charging about 50 transgressors a month at 5,000 rand a month.
That's a lot.
Now I don't understand this. One, we're saying poor economic climate. You want to maximize your profit, and by the way, these are some of the affluent companies that are doing it. And I'm saying, so I'm charging you 5,000 rand, you know, and now I'm charging only 348 rands a ton to use my facility. Why are you doing this? So we have law enforcement officers, we have the Metro Police as well.
Of which I think they're doing an exceptionally
but I don't like that.
good job.
Just think about this here. These are all adults, you know, I mean leaders, you know, our fathers and mothers of families.
That should be helping us to save this money that we're spending.
It's just unbelievable what we see every day.
Yeah, so your message clearly is that, you know, your factories that happen to dump, they need to refrain from doing that.
And do your bit.
Yeah.
It's your city, for heaven's sake.
So how do they report if in the event that I see somebody dumping illegally? What do I do?
Yes, you
well,
you can contact Metro Police, or you can contact this Cleansing Solid Waste Department of 031 311 8804.
That's the number that I should call.
That's the number you should go.
Yeah. But one thing that I think you've done exceptionally well, the issue of insourcing in Umlazi. This is the biggest township in EThekwini. I think we've done exceptionally well. Just take us through the journey that you have traveled in that regard, and where are we right now?
Yeah, I must be honest, the insourcing exercise was quite a challenging one. One mustn't be fooled though.
Yeah.
It's an expensive one. But if you want a quality service, you've got to have human capital and the fleet resource. And fortunately for us, the leadership of this council put the money where the mouth is.
Exactly.
And said, we need to serve this community. I mean, the second biggest black township in South Africa.
Yeah.
And they were getting such a terrible service in terms of contractors.
Yeah.
I'm glad that...
But that now is history.
It's history.
Yeah.
It's history.
Yeah.
It was a good learning example. And we want to extend it, by the way.
Of course.
To other townships.
Yeah.
Where they can expect quality service. And we don't want to have disparate levels of service.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all one. And we want to provide.
But also I know that you are making huge strides with regard to employing permanently some of our teams that happen to be under the expanded public works program. How far is that?
Well, we started the EPWP program. Obviously, it's a poverty alleviation program run by national government and treasury. We've adopted, I had about 1,600 of them.
Right.
And now we've reduced it to about 930. We've sort of insourced and made them permanent because obviously they're suitably trained.
Yes, yeah, true.
They know their stuff and they're working, yes, and they're supplementing what we do.
Yeah.
And a great help as well. I think if you monitor and supervise properly and you sort of impart the experience onto them, very, very thankful. And I think that program does work.
Yeah. Kuduzi, I think it would be very remiss for us not to talk about the issue of recycling. How are we faring in that regard?
Recycling, I think there's a misconception. What is recycling? I think most people think you collect cans and that's recycling.
Yeah.
It does minimize waste going to the landfill. I think what we're missing, the point that we're missing is these aluminium cans, and I'll use this as an example, or even a plastic bottle. What happens to them? We say that don't send them into your bin, into your kitchen waste so that we pick it up. It's a valuable resource. It has some financial value. Yeah. And when you have a benefication, to another company, to another product, know you've done your bit. And I think the recycling rate at the moment in our city is sitting at about 15%. We want it to go up in the next 2 years to 50%.
Right.
Now, the incidental consequence of that good, noble action of yours when you recycle mean that we less waste to the landfill. It means that I need less human capital. Right. I need less fleet resources. And you don't need operating expenses for the landfill site. So the landfill site expands itself. Instead of 30 years now, it's got a 100-year lifespan. So we're not looking for more land. Right. So I think the value of recycling, it's like 100-fold in return in terms of saving the environment, creating new employments, new businesses, and really look after the environment.
Yeah.
I think recycling it's the way to go. Yeah. I'm hoping in the next 2 years that we make recycling mandatory.
Of course.
So I'm busy working on a bylaw, amendment to the bylaw, where each and every household, be it informal or formal, will be subjected to that bylaw, where recycling is mandatory. So what does this mean? Yeah. If my worker comes to your property and looks in the bin bag and sees cardboard, paper, glass, plastic, then we're going to probably charge you for that.
For that.
Yes.
One other thing which happened to be a noose around your neck is the issue of people taking out their refuse, not on their days. Because I know that each and every neighborhood, they've got their days, during which waste is collected. Now, in the event that, let's say, mine is collected on Monday and I take out my refuse on Sunday or Tuesday, the monkeys come and rip the plastic apart.
It's just unfortunate.
It's a problem.
It's a huge problem. I think it's the delinquent homeowner or occupier, and not having the heart placed in the right place and say, this is my city. I care for the city. It's just a waste of money. So what happens? If your collection day is on Monday and you take out your dirt on Sunday, it's against the bylaw.
Of course.
It's not allowed.
Yeah.
But look at the consequence of that action. Monkeys, dogs,
Yeah.
and homeless people get into your thing, mess up the street, and then now it's registered as a complaint that cleansing and solid waste and the municipality is not providing a good service.
Yeah.
Yet it's no fault of us. So what do you do there? We get law enforcement out, you get Metro Police out. We could only do so much with the resources that we have.
Yeah.
And we plea and we make such a humble plea to people.
Yeah.
Do your bit.
Do your bit.
Do your bit. Do your bit.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you also must be elated that recently you have received about 15 trucks, if I'm not mistaken. And that is going to a certain extent assist you to to discharge your responsibility without any hindrance.
I think that's a very interesting point. I think people need to know that.
Yeah.
Where accolades must be given to leadership, I think we need to do that. All right. You know, we're going through quite a stressful time at a political level, but I'll tell you what, the work that's being done by leadership is something else.
It's amazing.
So in the last 4 years, we've convinced council. This is a global city. It's a tourist destination, hopefully of choice. You know, I mean, December you can see the figures that are coming.
Of course, yeah.
So we said, you can't be having aged fleet providing service where it breaks down, it becomes embarrassing, it's unsightly. Can we invest money into this fleet? So we've been given by council some $500 million for the next 4 years.
Not bad.
Oh, in my I won't tell you how many years that I'm working for. In my
know.
last 40 years, it's the most that I've ever received.
Because it's very difficult to be without the tools of the trade to discharge your responsibility.
100%, 100%. You know, now I'm in a position to provide a far more efficient service, more responsive one.
To the benefit of our
residents, yes. And I think it's only going to get better. So I'm thrilled with that part.
Kutus, thank you so much for making some time to talk to us.
It is only
we'll also be inviting you, as the time progresses when the need arises.
Thank you very much. It was nice being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was the head of DSW sending a clear message that we all have got a responsibility of ensuring that our city is clean. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to click your subscription button to ensure that you do not miss the next episode.